So hi everyone and welcome to this session. My name is Diana Grigore. I am a product a manager within the Defender for Cloud team. We are part of the customer engineering team, and I have a few of my great colleagues here with me to help me out on the Q&A. There's quite an interesting topic that we have for today, so bear with me. We're going to have a big demo as well. So do let me know if you have any kind of questions in the chat. This is the brand new Ignite released. We have lots of people that have worked on this one, so very happy to hear your feedback. Hopefully constructive, but also to learn how you see the new portal and the changes in your company. What kind of feedback, if this is a great idea for your team, and of course, if we're gonna go ahead and share it actually with everyone. So first, I do want to ask one question to everyone. I hope you're all settled all right. I do want to ask, of course, if you're familiarized with it. So if you can let me know shortly if you've never heard about it or you're very excited about it, I would be happy to know that as well. But I'm just gonna go right ahead to actually discuss why we're doing this. So we have a lot of things to cover. We have a lot of changes. We have the era of AI. We have cloud adoption actually going through the roof in terms of how do we harness AI in order to embrace those cloud native services. We have 92%, as you can see in here, of the organizations planning to boost the AI investment. So it's pretty clear that AI is becoming this vital path for business strategies. Additionally, you have 17% of organizations already using cloud services, which really just highlights the widespread adoption, let's say, of cloud technologies. But this shift actually comes with challenges. So you see an 89% increase in cloud security incidents that's projected actually for upcoming years to go even more than that. You have a lot of different tools for security. So which is another concern. You have in here the number of 10 different security tools for one organization, which can lead to a lot of security gaps and inefficiencies. And you are actually creating all of these security silos. So you do not look at security as the first step and the get-go from how you need to build from that point on. So in this context, we're actually looking at what else do we need to do. Of course, the obvious way to win against modern threats is to actually have a modern solution as well. We heard you, I've been with Microsoft for quite some years now, and I know already how important it is to have this big word of unify actually coming together and actually see it. So we do have vulnerabilities, we do have threats across the digital estate. We need to trace vulnerabilities. We need to see what the security teams are doing, but also what the developer teams are doing. We need to correlate all the signals between cloud identities, apps, and all of the solutions that we have available, while still having this unified view into assets, inventory, and what really happens multi-cloud and for hybrid environments. But all of this while also thinking, okay, but I need to have fewer integrated tools. I need just a few tools that are important to me to get me faster to that threat remediation part. Of course, a few of this you already know the answer for, or you've been using, hopefully, Defender for Cloud. Defender for Cloud is designed to help with that comprehensive security across different platforms. So in here, we're talking AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and we're really talking about emphasizing the importance of unifying security throughout the entire application lifecycle. So you're ensuring that from cloud to runtime, you have everything figured out in terms of security. Meaning, you need to have a solution, which is in our case, Microsoft CNAPP solution, Defender for Cloud, which prioritizes the most critical risks, allowing organizations to really focus those resources effectively. If you think about this, additionally, you do need to have also real-time responses. You do need to take a look at cloud threats. You do need to leverage advanced Gen AI in order to get to that enhanced protection. But all of this proactive approach needs to ensure that security is not just reactive, it also anticipates. It actually safeguards applications from any potential vulnerabilities. Overall, you have Defender CNAPP delivering this code to runtime security, making this a vital tool for modern cloud environments. Now, the next question is, what else is needed? In the context of this, we need to actually bring together and break down those silos when it comes to security. So finally, I'm happy to finally be able to talk to you about the fact that Defender for Cloud is coming into the Defender portal. It's a huge step because Defender for Cloud brings the whole infrastructure behind. It means it's bringing infrastructure teams we didn't have before, working on in the SOC teams, working within different boundaries of the company. But it also means it's the first step in terms of eliminating those silos. It means that you do have a way of managing things from one place. And that's the promise really that it's going to bring. We're going to create this new portal that will enable everything security-wise so that you can actually start and end your day as a security operator, admin, architect in one place. What we're bringing is actually not only what you used to in Defender for Cloud, but also new enhancements as well. So we're looking at cloud security dashboard. You have comprehensive visibility now over the posture management of your overall environment. Again, we're actually now talking multi-cloud. We're bringing unified cloud posture capabilities. So we're actually redefining and bringing exposure management in a new formula, whilst having a unified view into the vulnerabilities, the attack paths, the cloud secure score, and the secure scores in general, and also prioritized remediation. And lastly, we're bringing centralized inventory, meaning everything that you need to understand in terms of your assets in your cloud environment is now also in the Defender portal. But not only that, it actually brings a lot more visibility over your entire digital estate. Okay, the question will be now, why are we doing this, and how do we need to take a look at it? If we are looking at this unified cloud security strategy, we need to realize the importance of a unified security platform. I know it's just another way of saying we're actually enhancing everything that we have, but we're actually going to operate seamlessly across multi-cloud and multi-pipeline environments. So we are tackling both proactive and runtime protection. We are looking today at posture management in terms of proactive security, but we are looking also at what Defender for Cloud can do. So proactive security measures are essential for identifying risks, for mitigating risk before they escalate, and you have key components such as the cloud security posture management and AI-driven risk remediation that actually leverages that advanced technology to enhance the security posture. So runtime protection after you understand your posture is, of course, equally critical. It focuses on real-time threat detection and response, and it does this across different domains. You can be talking specific workloads such as APIs, servers, containers, and we do know that this requires a different kind of attention and a specific team designed to look at those workloads. So the mention of this of the both agent-based and agentless protections when it comes to flexibility in deployment, different infrastructure needs is actually also very important because it does bring all the security controls together. So the next part that I want to mention, this was just the introduction, is actually going into the portal and seeing what the new portal looks like. I want you to jump directly into the actions and see what the new portal can do. So let me just close this one and switch to my environment in here. Okay, got it. So in this portal, we can actually see that we have a new tab. So this is the home for Defender. You do have this cloud security tab in here. The cloud security tab is actually the one which will show you everything you need to know about your Defender for Cloud infrastructure. So you have already the integration across different cloud environments. We have in here an overview of all data in one place. First, you're going to see dashboards when it comes to the overall security posture. So again, this is actually a cloud secure score. This is also in public preview, and this is a new calculation and a new score, which is actually based on risk. But we're going to get a bit more into details afterwards. The next part is the threat protection, where you actually see all the security alerts in your environment, and you can focus more on the threat protection side, right? We have security posture on the posture management, and then runtime detection and protection on the threat detection. The last part is actually the Defender coverage, and this really gets together everything you need to know about the posture and the protection plans. So really, what kind of Defender for Cloud plans you have enabled. Next, what you will see in here is actually some top actions when it comes to the most critical recommendations, the highest alerts, and the most critical attack paths. And all of this data is actually it has historical data going up to 6 months. So as you can see in here, depending on the specific period you're looking at, you can choose from any of these. Now, the very cool part about this is that you can see what happened over time. We had actually a lot of feedback in terms of we need to understand even more how the solution is changing, why the score is changing, and go into different metrics. That is why we actually added into the Cloud Secure Score or also particular solutions and particular data points when it comes to reasoning. So why did my score change? If you actually scroll down, you're going to see the same kind of trend for security alerts, and you can then dive into all the information specific for workloads. So you have in here the asset summary and the coverage for virtual machines. You can see the number of them, the insights, actually the Defender coverage, if you're covered or if you're partially covered for the Defender plans. And then you can see the recommendations based on risk for each of these findings. So you have misconfigurations, vulnerabilities, and secrets, all related to the virtual machines. Next up, you will see also insights into the data. As you can see, although the structure and the UI is on the same path, you do have another set of information that will help you guide your journey into that workload. So you have in here the asset summary and coverage for data. You have insights, and you can see which are the objects with sensitive data. In my case, I have, as you can see in here, object storages. Next one, you'll see containers, and you do see also findings in terms of misconfigurations, vulnerabilities, additional insights, and the number of each of the Kubernetes services, be it workload, networking, clusters, and so on. And with any of these, actually, all of these are clickable. So once you want to get to a specific filtered view, you can actually take advantage and you can use the overview in the cloud security to get you to that information. Of course, we also announced a lot of very important, cool new features for Defender for AI and AI in general. So if you heard some of the announcements at Ignite, there's a lot happening on the AI part as well. So bear in mind, we already have with AI posture management, a lot of insights into the AI findings into our own assets. So you can see also in here, based on the information that you have, the AI models, AI service, AI agent. So really getting to understand that dark data isn't dark anymore, even when it comes to AI. And this is, of course, a huge improvement. Now, we're most probably gonna hear a lot more about what AI will bring to the table, and especially in the context of the security. This is extremely important. So, would definitely recommend that you look at some of the newly released features at Ignite. Next up, similar to what you've seen, you also have insights into the API, DevOps, and the CM solutions, each with their own associated numbers, insights, and then findings or risk-based recommendations. Now, I want to scroll back to this page. The page has two very important options. First, you can actually filter all of these data based on the environment itself, the cloud environment itself. So really, what that means is if you just want to look at AWS and GCP, you can actually drill down into the information for these clouds. More specifically than that, you can also drill down on what you want to see from those organizations or those subscriptions. So if you just want to go ahead with one specific subscription, you can also choose in between that. So I can show you an example in here. Once you drill down and filter to that data, all the dashboards will actually be updated with the data specific to the filter. So as you can see in here, I do have my AWS and GCP environments connected, and you can look through the information specific, workload specific, posture management specific for the sake of filtering. Make sure you do notice this, so you can also mix and match, and you can also choose in between different environments. The next part that is very important is the scope filter. So of course, we wouldn't bring such a huge solution to the market without actually discussing role-based access controls. We're talking security. We need to make sure that only the right authorized people get access to specific information. That is why we want to make sure that the boundaries between teams is very clearly defined. So as you can choose from here in the scopes, you can see the newly introduced cloud scopes. For those of you familiar with device groups, is really another way of assigning a particular scope and environment to this. Now, what you will see with the cloud scopes, and I have a few examples in here, is really that you can create boundaries between what can specific teams do. So based on your business organizational units, based on maybe you want to have people working on specific clouds, you can create the separation between what views can each persona has. The reasoning why we're expanding the portal itself is to make sure that each user and persona has a way easier job in their respective portal. So we're not trying to switch anyone. Of course, we are going to make a lot of the new enhancements and the new features appear actually first in the new portal, because this is it's a very important strategy for us moving forward. But it doesn't mean that we're taking away the Azure portal. So actually, sorry for mentioning this so late. We're not planning on moving it. We're just planning on expanding all the personas and all the needs that you have currently today. That doesn't mean that in the case in which you do have, of course, more need for one portal or the other, you do not have all the options to actually have everything you need in one. That is why with the cloud scopes, you will be able to see only the specific data. What really happens is you need to assign a cloud scope, which really scopes it out based on environment and subscription, and assign that cloud scopes to the rows that you already have within Defender XDR. There isn't a one-to-one match in between the cloud scopes and the rows in Azure. And this is by design, because we do want to bring a lot of more granularity into how you define permissions and how you define and switch between different teams and decide what each user can see. That is why we are going to focus on cloud scopes and assign cloud scopes to particular roles. Now, I don't want to just talk about it. I also want to show you. So in the system tab, getting to permissions, the first part will show you Microsoft XDR roles and scopes. You need to go to set this up. You need to go first to scopes. And once that happens, you can add a cloud scope from here. For the sake of my environment, I don't have admin permissions. You do need to have admin permissions and tenant permissions to be able to create a scope. But really what it means is that you get to choose the environments, so you can scope it out to particular clouds or subscriptions. The next thing that you need to do then is actually assign that cloud scope to one of the roles you already have. So as you can see in mine, all data sources now also adds Defender for Cloud into the mix. So you have in here assignments with specific user and groups assigned for this particular role. The role itself has 3 permissions groups. So you have security operations, security posture, authorization, and settings. The next question I know for sure is going to be asked is, can I customize it? Can I add, just read, or just manage permissions? Yes, you can. So you already have mine are grayed out just in terms of the permission itself. But once you do have the needed tenant level permissions in here, you can choose what that specific permission group can do. So you see in here, for security operations, you can choose read-only. You can select custom permissions based on the list from here. Bear in mind, for something that you still need and you do not have yet in here, we're talking a portal that is in public preview, meaning the fun stuff we still get to do. So if you have feedback in terms of, I still need a more granular control and a more customized permission for this, please reach out and let us know. Now, everything that you need to do in here is actually just add to the to this particular role the cloud scope. Assign it to a user, and you're done. If you have already your company working with the Defender solutions, you already have the roles. So if all you need to do is actually choose the granular control you want to have over your cloud environments. Now, I want to make sure that I also help you out in terms of, I missed something that Diana said, where can I find that information? You have a guidance in here. You have a Get Started guide. The Get Started guide not only shows you what are the new features, where you can find it, but also lets you know where you can find it on the page and going to the relevant information page, going to the right information. And you can also actually take the full tour in terms of getting accustomed to the new port. We know that, or we expect that people who have been used to the Azure portal are gonna need to use the Get Start guide a bit more. But we're hoping that the people who are accustomed to XDR will find the portal easy to navigate through. Now, what we already covered so far is the Cloud Security Overview tab. So all the information related to your cloud infrastructure, everything you have already an overview with in Azure portal, you will see in here. The only thing you need to do is actually opt in for the public preview for this. So we already public preview. You do have documentation online. You're most probably gonna see in your portal these tabs. Only you're gonna see a page that guides you into where you need to go to enable it. And you need to go to settings in both portals and enable this preview solution. So this is how you can test it out. The other thing that I showed you was the permissions. So the unified role-based access control, so that you can see and scope information through the whole portal. One thing I didn't do though, and I'm going to do now, is actually assign one scope, and you can see again that the data will change depending on the scope. Again, if I'm actually logged in as that user who has that scope assigned, I will see that information already from the beginning. So for the sake of showing you all the good stuff, I'm gonna take it away. Great. Now there's a cool, interesting part to show you as well. We mentioned this Defender coverage, right? And we mentioned workload protection plans and how to look and understand everything in our environment. If we actually go into the assets, we have a new tab in here, which is called Cloud. You guessed it right, it's the Cloud Assets. So in here, in all assets, you really have an overview of everything you need to have for all the resources in your cloud environments. I heard customers saying that they still need to have particular information. Please do let me know if there's anything missing. What we did in here is trying to make you be able to choose your own view. So in case you just want to look at a particular factor from this and you want to emphasize this, you can select and add a filter specific for all the all the parameters in here. What you need to do though is actually, if you want to have it even way easier to see, is actually create a filter set so that you can have all that information right in here the next time you're actually going to go into the page. Now, you do have all the filters in here based on criticality, based on recommendations for each of the assets. You do have risk factors, you do have cloud tags, which are available, and you do have also a way to choose between the environments as well. Again, if you do not have the filter in here. But one thing you might be curious about is the defender coverage one. Although you do have this information for all the assets, if you just hover over the one asset, you can see what is the defender enablement. So you can see what kind of defender plans you have, or maybe you don't have, that's why you don't see particular data. So as you can see in here, you can just hover for specific ones and see. I'm just gonna go one that's partially so that you can see how that looks like as well. So you see in here, I do have Defender CSPM enabled for this virtual machine, but I do not have Defender for servers enabled, so the P2 plan. Now, this view is going to stay consistent within the rest of the tabs. Only in here, this is the one place to go in case you want to see everything at a glance. So this is actually collecting all the information needed. Another thing that is important to know, of course, we do have sorting by default based on criticality level and recommendations and attack paths, but you can, of course, sort that out by just clicking through the categories in here. So there are multiple ways of seeing only the data that you need. No need to have lots of data, or no need to not have anything else that will take away the focus that you need for your task. So the great thing that I want to show you is that actually now, going into each of the workloads, you do see data specific for just that workload. So for VMs, you can see in here the Defender for Endpoint Health, if you do have Defender for Endpoint, if it is agentless or not, and then additional things when it comes to criticality level. You can see some more in terms of Azure resource group, or maybe you have an AWS account ID, or maybe you want to just see if it has been used for AI or the machine running state. So from all of these, you can see, although it secures and categorizes the data in one place, you can see specific data just for that workload. So if you click on one, similar to what you see in devices, you can open the asset page. Bear in mind, the asset page is different than the device page. So if I go now into the devices and choose one virtual machine, I'm going to see open device page. The reason for that is we do have shared VMs between Defender for Endpoint and Defender for Cloud. The reason why we still need to keep it separate is because we want to make sure we check all the boxes between we unify this. So for now, you're going to see different pages, although it might be the same VM, just because it's managed by both of them. You're going to see in here in the asset page cloud-specific information, and without bringing any changes to Defender for Endpoint and how you see devices in VMs in devices now, you're going to be able to drill down into that information specific just for Defender for Endpoint. So in terms of additional things that aren't yet in the new portal, you can see you have also shortcuts in here in terms of what else you can do from the Azure portal, right? So anything that isn't yet in the new portal. Again, if you open this, you're actually going to see some cloud-specific information. So you have a short overview with the map in here. You do have all the associated recommendations. The map will show you all the connections from that asset to any of the other ones, and it will actually create an attack path. Now, I want to switch to the attack paths. Attack paths are the ones that show you what could go wrong. Maybe in this example, I don't have any, but it's important that you can see specific for that asset, specific attack paths together with vulnerabilities and security recommendations. Now, maybe I can choose one that has multiple ones just for the sake of the demo. Now, it is also important to notice that all of these will show up right from here. So don't be shy to use the filters and just scope it based on what you need. Let's see if this was... You can actually sort out based on the attack path. So I have this. You are going to see a few differences in terms of how you see an asset versus how you see a device. So bear that in mind. We're just adding on top of the features you already have in the portal. We're not planning on taking anything away from you at this point. So you can see in here in the attack paths, let's see this one. You can also choose, I have a status in here, you can choose inactive attack paths as well. We had also feedback in terms of how do I know if I solved one of the attack paths, so you have it in here. Now, similar to the VMs, you do have also data specific for each of the rest of the workload. So in the data, for example, in here, you can see the asset type. I have, in my case, some object storage resources. You do see the label. You do see the sensitivity, the sensitivity label. You do see also additional information about the parent resource, and you can actually drill down into the information from here. This shortcut, or just the short overview, let's call it, shows you also information about the cloud security details. Shows you also additional things about the configuration. You see in here replication options, hierarchical namespaces, the lock if it's enabled or not, or the minimum TLS version, and then additional details when it comes to access control and networking. Then again, drilling into details when it comes to the threat protection, so active alerts. In here, in the containers, you can actually see on the left side for all of them, all the different categories that you see. So if you only need to look at containers, you do have the option of just going directly in here and then choosing and filtering based on maybe you want to look at a specific pod or a specific cluster, and you can search for that specific asset in here. Now, all of these will also show you, again, the recommendations, attack paths, risk factors aligned, the criticality level, of course, and the defender coverage. Make sure you do have the right plans enabled so that you can see all of this data. I can show you also a glance and a glimpse into the AI part. So you can see AI models, you can see model registry, endpoints, and you can see the whole posture when it comes to AI. This is also a lot of new information that we're adding. So make sure to test it out and check it out as well. One last thing I want to mention, we have also a lot of things to say about serverless. So you will see functions, web apps, and local no-code in here in terms of understanding and helping you understand that the real posture of your environment. So understanding that dark data as well, really answering the question of what don't I know? So you can at least start from there. And again, one other thing I wanted to show you, DevOps. So we talked a bit about posture management, how it goes over to threat protection. The posture starts with code. So as the need to actually develop DevSecOps, not really have two separate teams for SecOps and developers, the same reason, as to the same reason, we're actually looking at DevOps repositories, organizations, and pipelines to make sure everything is secure from the code. That being said, this was the inventory. So this is the one place to go for everything that you need to know in terms of your assets. Again, you do need to make sure that you do have the right Defender for plans enabled. So most of these will be each specific to their Defender for Cloud plans. Now, we talked about the overview with the cloud security. We talked about unified role-based access control. Next, we actually saw what does it look like to have all assets coming together? How does it look like to drill into the Defender coverage? And then what does it look like to also see workload-specific insights? The last part that we still need to cover is, okay, but where does it all come together? You promised us it comes together somewhere, right? That's the exposure management. So the exposure management now has a new look. As you can see, vulnerability management together with recommendations, attack surface, and secure score all add up to the new exposure management part. Exposure management talks about posture, talks about the first steps you need to do in order to secure your environments. So the first thing that I'm going to do is actually look at the overview, because in the overview, you can already see some new things that have appeared, which is and you have in here the cloud information as well. The overview will guide you into all the information that you have across all Defenders in the XDR port. So you can imagine that this is the one place where Defender for Cloud actually comes as well. If you want to separate, or if you want to look at all of these in a separate way, you do have initiatives. And all of these initiatives will actually guide you into the information that you do need to know for each. Now, let's see if we have the demo guides. Let me switch to this environment. So in this exposure management, in the initiatives part, you will get to see a preview of the cloud security. So you do see in here right from the beginning just a few words in terms of what it is, how is that connected to the security recommendations, what are the Defender plans actually enabled. But once you open it, really what the cloud initiative is, it collects all the data we added into the portal specific for cloud, right? So specific for Defender for Cloud. And that basically helps you understand what is the overall cloud secure score of my environment, multi-cloud. What are the security recommendations? What are the attack paths? What is the history for those attack paths, or anything that is changing? So as you will see in here, you do have a cloud secure score. It doesn't have to be 100%. Honestly, if it's 100%, you might have a bug or something is not working right, because you know that the teacher that only has the best the best grade just for himself, or and that's kind of the same example with this. You can never be too secure. That's the reason why the cloud will change, because it does have a new risk-based secure score, but it doesn't really mean that you are actually doing worse than how we calculated risk before, or better. So what you need to understand it is actually the formula behind it. We had a lot of people saying it's not fair, we don't understand what the score means, where does it come from, so we decided to actually show up the formula right there. So that's usually when the conversation stops, because you go right ahead and calculate this or integrate this in your dashboards as well. Why we're recalculating the secure score is because we want to make it impactful. We want to cut the noise. We want to make sure we have criticality assigned to it. We need to understand and not to see all assets or all the risk as the same. We need to multiply it by the criticality level. So this is why, if you have specific questions about it, you do have a frequently asked questions in here. Also in terms of, can I still access my old view? Yes, you can. And then additional things about the new score. So everything you need to get a hold on in terms of information you should find from here and on the official documentation that we have. So we published also documentation around the new portal. No worries about that. You can check it out. Next to this one, you do see also a lot more information about the Defender CSPM plan. So you can learn about what is posture management, how does that actually help me with my posture management, and understand what I'm doing with my environments. So you can see a few additional information for Defender CSPM in here. Now, I mentioned the score. I mentioned it also changes over time. So you see also a trend in here. But what we added actually based on feedback is really what is changing. So you can click on viewing the history log, which will help you understand if you have new recommendations. You see, as in my example in here, the score dropped because I have new recommendations. Or if the risk changed from high to medium, then the score increased. So you can see all of these changes that led to this this line in here, and you can drill down more into details for this one. The next thing is, okay, but how do you tie this together with workloads? I have workloads I need to look at. How do I make sure that I have a way to prioritize? What do I look at first? Well, to that case, if you're looking at workload specific or environment specific, you do have a score for each. So you can actually decide, for example, in my example in here, I have all workloads having a particular secure score. It might be that I want to look at network last and I want to look at containers first. based on the recommendations that are risk-based in here, based on what's the status. You see how many of them were completed, how many are actually unassigned, and you can see, and you can actually drill down into this from here. Another way of doing it, of course, would be looking at the environment itself. So again, similar to this, you can get to all of this information right from here. When we're talking score, we're talking what do you need to do next, which is in our case looking at recommendations. You can see in here the critical, the high, the medium, the low recommendations. You can see the status for each, and then you can see most common recommendations by criticality. So you can choose the specific recommendation based on risk level, based on the number of affected assets, and you have a way of course, getting a shortcut through all of these. The next part is also the regulatory compliance. Of course, we're going to add the frameworks also when it comes to Defender CSPM. So you do have everything there that you need to know in here about the compliance frameworks. Now, with any of these, they don't lead just anywhere. They actually lead into specific pages from here. The recommendations will be actually the first one that I show you. But these are going to be general these are going to be split. So if you just want to look at cloud-specific data, you can still remain in the cloud initiative page where you see cloud recommendations. You see in here the overview picture of it. You see the score changing, the recommendations by risk level, how the score was calculated. And then, of course, the good part where you can actually drill down and filter through the information in here. Of course, you can choose whether you want to look at just critical ones or whether you want to look at just the ones that actually have been unassigned or actually are overdue. So again, you can choose and create the filter set, save this in here so that the next time you open it, you can just go right ahead to the updated information. If you don't want to look at the whole overall state of the security recommendations, you can choose from misconfigurations, vulnerabilities, and exposed secrets. All of these calculate and add to the initiative, so to the score itself. And you can see in here for the exposed secrets, I'm doing quite well. But you can also see also specific things about recommendations just for the exposed secrets, and same goes with vulnerabilities. You can see in here how is my cloud secure score doing based on my vulnerabilities, and this is the list, of course, of vulnerabilities you can take a look at. You can choose in the same way filters right from here if you want to look at specific data. Maybe you want to look at the operating system, maybe you want to look at the CVE ID. You can do that right from here. You can search through the information here, and you can actually choose if you want to see recommendations per asset or by title. So there are a couple of options that will help you so that you choose your own way of getting to that data. Now, the next part is the attack paths. So you have all the information under attack paths, really showing you everything you need to know about the cloud attack paths. You're familiar with this maybe or most likely from Defender for Cloud, from the Azure portal. What we did now is actually provide a much easier way to follow through a particular attack path. So you see in here, again, you can choose through the filters, you can choose the target type, you can choose the entry point from here. You can see entry point type, target, the target type, you can see the criticality, and of course, you can choose the status. So in here, I already have selected active and new attack paths. And what you can see with that is the number of affected assets, recommendations right from the beginning, the status. And this is just one way of seeing it. So you, again, can group it based on a particular part. So if you just want to group it based on a particular target or a particular status, you can do that as well. I'm just going to click on one to show you that you do have all the information needed in terms of an overview with the map. You have a description, you have an attack path, and you also have my 3 attack tactics. So everything you need to know about that particular cloud, that particular attack path, you can see from here. You do have also additional things. So once you drill down into the attack tactics, you can drill down more into what needs to be done for that particular vulnerability that you have in your environment. Once again, attack paths are not breaches. Attack paths help you understand What is your most vulnerable state of your environment and what could go wrong? We're talking still posture management, not post-breach. Additional things in here will be risk factors, so you can also decide and filter through that data based on the risk factors. And what you're going to see in the recommendations is what you need to do to solve that attack path. So not have that vulnerability or not have that gap in your environment anymore. Don't have some specific to this, but you should see them for most of your attack paths. The score changing part will actually you can get down into the details in the history tab, so you can see what happened with multiple details in here and how that changed the score itself. Now, we talked about the overview, we talked the initiatives a bit, but we talked about the score and we focused on the cloud, so I still didn't go into you said unified. So talking about the attack surface, the attack paths in here, so not staying within the cloud secure score, is actually collecting all data points from all entries. So from all defenders available, it's going to load, no worries. So from all data available, we're getting defenders in one place to actually see what happens over time with the attack paths. Now it might load just a few seconds later, but you can see everything in terms of all the defenders coming together in one place. So you see all the cloud, on-prem, hybrid environments, what happened, what are the top 5 attack path scenarios, what are the top choke points, which means really bottlenecks between attack paths if you want. So really, if you want to choose one that's going to solve a lot of the attack paths, choose the one that is the bottleneck for most of them. So again, the top 5. And then you have also top in terms of targets, entry points, and the types involved. So you can drill down and see what are the attack paths for each of these. Now, this is in general, or as an advice from me, the overviews are the ones that helps the business stakeholders understand what's going on in the environment. Now, we want to solve all of the needs. We want to solve the business needs. We want to solve the SOC team the needs as well. We actually want to solve the infrastructure needs as well. So again, go to this place in case you want to see what is the most impactful, how can you cut the noise, how can you go directly into what you need to do to improve that score, to take a look at the whole environment. But then again, if you want to drill down into details, you do need to check out all the attack paths, you do need to check out the choke points. And again, you can see that you can choose the environment from here. So you do have also additional options when it comes to understanding the potential gaps in terms of security in your multi-cloud environment. The choke points will show you the list of what's in common between multiple attack paths. So they're already sorted based on the highest one in here. I have a managed identity, as you can see. And similar to what I was showing you in the assets page, you can drill down into the data right from here. You can see all associated data and then the top attack paths that this particular, in my case, managed identity is in. Though we did now focus on what's in common between all of them, there also comes this question of, I already have a secure score that I'm used to in the Defender portal, which is the Microsoft 365 secure score. We added it in here, one next to another, to make sure that you're going to differentiate between this. This is cloud-based, this is infrastructure-based, whereas this is based on the workload when it comes to the defenders that you have in the portal. So you have apps, devices, data, and identity. Make sure to differentiate between the scores. Okay, so now that we know this, the next part is let me see some recommendations, or let me understand what happens in terms of vulnerability just for cloud. And to that part, you will see that the recommendations together with the vulnerabilities in here will show you a tab specific just for cloud. So you're familiarized possibly with devices, SaaS apps, identities, and data, but now we have this new cloud tab. This I already showed you, right? Because it was a shortcut right from the Cloud Secure Score. But again, this is organized, and you can either see all recommendations based on clouds or on the cloud part from here, or you can drill down into the specific categories such as misconfigurations, vulnerabilities, or exposed secrets. The vulnerability management is the one that will show you the endpoint and the cloud vulnerabilities. So in the cloud, you can see some insights in terms of what is exploitable, what already has a fix, what is critical and high, and what's in the middle of all of these. In my case, I have 270 for this test tenant. And then you can also drill into the information in terms of top CVEs. So if you want to take a closer look at these, you can do that, and you can drill down into the details from here. But bear in mind, this is mostly an overview, as you can see in here. Similarly to what you've seen, you also have vulnerabilities over time. You can also see the recommendations based on the vulnerabilities. You can also see it actually categorized by asset type. And then again, you can drill down into what is vulnerable as an asset. So what are the top exposed VMs, top exposed containers, serverless, and DevOps environments that you can go right ahead and analyze even more. Another tab in which you will find the cloud part is in here in the vulnerabilities. You have the cloud part. This is where you need to go in order to get all the details needed for a vulnerability. You have in here filters when it comes to the severity, affected resource, and if it has a fix. And when you click on one, you can see additional information about the vulnerability, the exposed assets that are in your environments, and the affected resources. So make sure to check these out. The next part after this is, of course, going to the security recommendations and making sure that you actually solve that vulnerability. So in here, as you can see, I clicked on it and I have already the filter in terms of what I need to do. With that being said, this actually concludes what I wanted to show you. This is actually what we've been working on. This has been a huge impact on us, and it's actually it was a big team working on this. We are very much open to any kind of feedback. There are lots of things to still come, so we're very much interested in how you perceive it, how you see it, what else you need. This is in public preview. This is an opt-in experience that you can turn on from your portals. You are going to be guided from there into where you need to go. We do have documentation publicly available, so you can actually go right ahead and you will see in the documentation you can choose. You can actually choose between the portals. Actually, I think I have one in here. So you can see you have a Defender for Cloud in the Defender portal in here. You do have additional things just about the new experience. So you see the new tabs in here. But also when it comes to everything that I've mentioned, maybe you want to look at and see the Cloud Secure Score. And you want to see what is it then for a Defender portal. So everything that we've been talking about, but also you will see the information for the Azure portal in here. So you do have all the documentation needed already available. In case there's anything that you feel like is missing, the whole team is more than happy to help on that. So this is the new cool thing we've been working on. We're very excited for you to test it out. We're very happy to hear your feedback about it. And with that, I want to ask and want to leave the last minutes to see if we still have questions unanswered.
Yeah, thank you, Diana. We do have a few questions. The first one says, will it be possible to sort by management groups like in the Azure portal?
Not so much, because we're changing the way that this happens. So what you can do is you're going to be able to scope it up. So you will scope it out based on the environment itself. So on the cloud and on the subscription. This is the granularity that you're going to be able to filter the solutions through. Additional to that, of course, you get to filter the information that you can see based on the permissions in the XDR roles.
Great. Our next question says, can we create initiatives or sync initiatives from Azure?
Everything that you see in the portal now is synchronized to everything that is in the Azure portal. When it comes to the initiatives, the score that I was showing you is in public preview, and you can also opt in and see this in preview in the Azure portal. In case you want to have additional customized ones, don't think we have an option for this yet, but you can, of course, use the suggest new initiative part in here.
Thank you. Our next question says, will it be possible to identify choke points where multiple attack paths overlap, and can this be used to prioritize?
Yes, so I think I covered that in the demo. You do have choke points in here, and you can actually see a map of those and how those add specifically to the attack paths.
Perfect. And then our next question says, is there a difference between an auditor custom role and read-only role across Defender XDR?
Yes, it is. So you would need to check out the specific permission groups in XDR roles. So make sure you do that, because we basically what you can find in the permissions, and I'm gonna go there now, is that we have 3 set of groups, but then again you do need to have granularity over all of them. So you see the authorization and settings are the ones in which you can also choose some particular options when it comes to the detection tuning, security settings, and so on, whereas we're splitting the security operations from the security posture. So based on what you need for audit or based on anything particular, it would need to be in either one of these permissions groups. Hopefully that answered the question.
Yes, awesome. And then it looks like our last question says, will network security information also be included in this integration?
Everything in regards to what Defender for Cloud has access to with its plans will show up in the information in here. If you're talking on-prem, but you don't have it connected to any of the Defender solutions, we might be talking about a way to actually onboard. So in that case, you do need to have a hybrid environment. You do need Defender for Cloud to know about it in order to show you the information. You do not have a tab specific just for network, except the configuration and the network access details you can get when accessing an asset.
Perfect. Great, that sounds good. Well, it looks like the rest of our questions were answered by our Q&A team. So before I close this out, Diana, do you have anything else you want to end with?
No, that was it. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for being so many of you. I'm really much looking forward to your feedback.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Diana, for being our guest today and for sharing the great information with our community. Also, thank you to our Q&A team who helped us with answering all of the questions and providing the resourceful information. To all the listeners still on the line, if you're someone who wishes to aid in the protection of the world from cyber threats and desire to have a say in shaping our strategies, blueprints, and recommendations, then we invite you to become part of our security community. Together, we can make a global impact. So join us at aka.ms/securitycommunity. This is also where you'll be notified about the upcoming webinars, events, and other announcements. For those of you who may have additional questions on the topic we just covered or other product-related questions, please feel free to raise them on our Microsoft Tech Community Discussion Space at aka.ms/mdccommunity. Thank you all for being part of our community and for joining us on these webinars. We hope to see you next time. Goodbye.